WFNY BrownsCast, back again, previewing the Browns Chargers matchup in Week 5. I'm your host, Joe Gilbert. I'm here with Taylor Jedrzejek, and we're once again part of the Evergreen Podcast Network. Taylor, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah, kind of busy weekend here. It's
Yeah.
Guardians go to the playoffs. Browns got a game in Hot State, and Cavs started the preseason. So
we should do combined Cornercast and BrownsCast on Sunday night.
we should.
We either all be in misery or we'll all be happy. No in between.
Right. Definitely, yeah. Should be a fun weekend, hopefully, for Cleveland fans. But this podcast is brought to you by actually Breaking Tea this week. It's our T-shirt. I know Cleveland is full of T-shirt companies, but Breaking Tea is one of the better ones here, best ones here.
Whole T-shirt economy.
I know, right? Cleveland has a T-shirt economy. If you ever check it out, it's breakingtea.com. It's a great website. There's a lot of great Cleveland centric T-shirts. They have a new one. They had a new one out for Cade York when he made the winning field goal in Week 1. They have a Quan one, a lot of Guardians ones for the playoffs. So check it out at breakingtea.com/WFNY and you get 10% off. So that's breakingtea.com. Getting to kind of before we kind of preview this week, let's go back to, I know it's hard to go back to the losses, but let's go back to last week's loss to the Falcons. Any final thoughts? Or I know a lot of talk about Stefanski over the past couple of days on sports radio and
I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat with you.
The furthest thing that man should be is from a hot seat.
Yes. Yeah.
Like put him in an igloo.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone's on the hot seat, it's anyone on the defensive side of the ball, not him. Going back to Sunday, I can't really say that there's been any new kind of thoughts that have come out other than kind of what we said on Sunday, that it wasn't a game that felt like a loss until you looked up at the scoreboard at the end and you realized you weren't winning.
Yep.
I mean, there was things that they didn't do well in the closing minutes, but for the most part, they were pretty good throughout the game, and they had done enough to win the game if they had just found the end zone instead of kicked field goals or turned the ball over on downs, which also isn't a problem. I have no issue with them going for it on fourth down and on the 4. I did see an interesting tweet this week that I forgot who put it out, but they said that the Falcons defense had not been in a goal to go scenario yet to that point in the season.
Just crazy.
So truly the Browns were kind of flying blind as to how the Falcons would defend the goal line. And I guess that, yeah, I mean, I guess the Falcons giving up a whole bunch of long touchdowns has benefited them at least once now.
Yeah. I agree with that. I wrote this week on WFY, exactly what you said. It didn't feel like a loss until we actually looked up the scoreboard and it was an L. It was just the little things. There's not finishing the drives, that turnover, the run game or the run defense just completely forgetting how to play.
The film that would be one thing that has come out in the last few days. The film breakdown of how the front 7 played those two drives is that it's like rated R.
Really, NC-17. It is really bad.
That was some bad run defense, and I guess it's not a bad thing to have that happen early in the season because you can have those kind of things coached out if you have players that are able to be coached out of it. And it would certainly help if you had your 3 starting defensive linemen that didn't play on Sunday. So, I mean, there was a lot of things that went into that. I don't know how much we can really take away from the run defense as a whole, considering the front 7 was without 4 of its 7 for the first time. So,
the only thing I was a little bit worried about was kind of just the linebackers, because obviously you're down.
Yeah, I mean, those are the ones we're stuck with.
Yeah,
Like, we're not improving in that scenario.
right.
We're not
And
improving. Like, you're running with Jacob Phillips, and you're
yeah,
running with Tony Fields, and you're running with JOK. Like, that's what
right.
you have for the rest of the season now.
Yeah, and Jacob Phillips looked like on those 2 drives, it just looked like he never played football before. Like he didn't know his responsibilities.
No.
It was rough. Like there was the holes that were made on that was just incredibly ugly. It was hard to watch. So that is a bit worrying. Because
Yeah.
he's he's the starter going forward. There's
I mean, not only is he the starter, he's the green dot.
yeah. So
Like,
it's
he's on the field almost every play if they Browns have any say in it. So
definitely, yeah. So it's that's definitely something we got to watch. Hopefully, it's just a learning curve for him because this is going to be his first time being the full time starter in his career. So hopefully, it's just growing pains. But yeah, it's just the whole loss was just kind of it was frustrating. It was just,
the unfortunate part is the best way you can kind of describe that whole second half was it was a giant teaching moment.
yeah.
But you'd rather teaching moments against bad teams turn into wins rather than losses. And this one,
Exactly.
it turned into a loss. So it hurts more in the end.
Yep.
But it could be a game that maybe helps the defense as the season goes on in the long run.
Yeah.
At least we hope.
That's
We did talk a lot on Sunday about how we don't trust Joe Woods to make an adjustment if a train was hurtling towards his body on a train track. So
that doesn't change.
yeah, like, can he coach those guys out of those things? Sure, but is he going to learn how to make adjustments that, oh, this team is running the ball and only running the ball, maybe we should stack the box.
14 plays.
Nah, let's run nickel.
That's
Coach, we need more linebackers. Nickel.
Yeah.
Dime.
Let's put one linebacker in charge of the whole side and
yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so that's the loss. It sounds like none of our opinions really changed over the week.
I mean, aside from learning that that tight end reverse wasn't a blocker getting blown up, it was David Njoku thinking he ran a 4.2 and trying to get to the outside.
Basically, yeah.
That play went from being on the offensive line to being on David Njoku for not knowing where the hole was.
Yeah.
So
I'm thinking Stefanski's going to hide that play for the rest of this.
Yeah. The unfortunate part is the play was there if you were not having a tight end run the ball.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there was much more to take away, like learn throughout the week from the game other than they threw away a good chance to win. There was a lot of teachable moments. If the team is coachable, they should improve from that game film.
Yep.
So it's on the coaching staff now to fix those problems.
Yep. And I trust one side that could do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so moving on to week 5 now. We're on week 5, so
it's hard to believe. Honestly.
I know we're inching closer to Deshaun Watson time. It's kind of weird. We're almost a couple weeks away from halfway there. So we're on to Los Angeles Chargers. Still weird to say that. I'll never get over that.
I think it's been like 5 years, my guy.
I know. I know, and I'm still not there. Man.
Maybe 6. It's been a while.
They'll always be the San Diego Chargers to me.
Yeah. I still do let out a St. Louis every now and then when talking about the Rams. I don't know why.
True. Yeah. So they're 2-2, same as the Browns, heading into First Energy Stadium on Sunday. We talked about it kind of last week a little bit, that big time change for them going all the way from the West Coast to the East Coast. It's going to be an advantage to the Browns.
But they were 2-1 in those games last year.
Okay.
So maybe under this new coach, it's a little different. This is their first time this year. I don't know what we're going to see out of it. Obviously, it's a lot different team than we saw last year because I think the team they have now is beat to hell in comparison.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I mean, Justin Herbert wasn't hurt last year, so
Yeah.
that's a big difference. I mean, I would say that he's going to play on Sunday.
Oh,
I'm not going to say he's not going to play. I think he's fine.
If he wasn't out the other last 2 weeks, I think he's
Yeah,
probably safe.
he's fine. I mean, he threw for 300 something yards last week with
Right.
his ribs hanging on by a thread. So I think he's fine. It's the fact that his line is hurt, and the fact the Chargers, who tried to bolster their defense over the offseason, not only lost Joey Bosa, or they have Joey or Nick?
Joey.
They have Joey. Okay.
Yeah.
Joey Bosa, they lost him. They won't have him, and their defense hasn't improved.
Right.
They're still horrible.
Yeah.
I think I read earlier this week that they're giving up like 5 yards per carry on average and are on pace to have the worst rush defense in league history.
Which is a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, let's get into it. What are the kind of strengths and weaknesses of the Chargers as you look at it?
Well, the strength is definitely their passing offense. They have the best passing offense in the league. They're averaging almost 313 yards a game through the air, which I am not going to say that the Browns have any hope of stopping because they didn't last year. So everything is basically the same.
Right.
The only thing I think that the Chargers don't have going into this week is they don't have Keenan Allen. I don't think.
Most likely, yeah.
Most likely, they're going to be without Keenan Allen. So they're still going to be able to throw the ball all over the place. Are the Browns going to be able to generate enough pressure to prevent them from throwing the ball over the place? Because I think anytime that, like, I don't even care how many rushing yards the Browns give up this week, because anytime the Chargers are running the ball, they are wasting their time.
Basically, yeah, that's true.
They are averaging 65 yards per game on the ground. They have the best passing offense and the worst rushing offense, which is it's almost like a 12-year-old playing Madden. They're just going to run 4 verts until you stop it, and run the ball every now and then, probably with the quarterback.
Yeah, their passing game is definitely the top. It obviously is going to be a little bit different because their left tackle is out for the year or close to it. At least he's on the IR.
But I think he was out for the year I think he was out last week, and that didn't hurt them. Yeah. So
basically, it's going to be just kind of how bad do the Browns give up the pass this week. Their Austin Eckler is probably the best receiving running back in the league, I would say, or close to it.
Yeah.
So he's pretty much a wide receiver in the backfield for him. Mike Williams is still a beast.
He's still really good.
Still really good. So yeah, it's going to be a tough day, and obviously we all know about Justin Herbert. He's one of the top, probably 5 or 6 quarterbacks.
Yeah, he's up there. He's up there.
Yeah. So it's gonna be a challenge for this defense. They played better last week. They played really well.
Yeah, a lot of the reviews I saw from people who break down film better than I do. I've tried. I don't know how much I actually take away from it. From the people who actually watch it and know it.
Yeah.
They said that the DBs actually had a pretty good game. The coverage bust in the fourth quarter was actually not on them. It was on Jacob Phillips, not rotating out.
Yeah.
So that goes to the linebackers. So the DBs had a very solid game in terms of pass coverage, which is pretty evident because I think what did Mariota finish 7 of 19?
Yeah.
He wouldn't have thrown for 100 yards if he doesn't hook up for 42 on his last throw of the game. But if the back 7 is going to come around, I think it's going to be by continuing to play to the strengths of that unit, which I would say the strengths of that unit are definitely man coverage, more press and more getting in their face, giving them a chance to work with, stay with the receivers rather than play off. I think Denzel Ward has struggled a lot this year playing off playing off coverage.
Yeah, and communicating with the rest of the team, like passing guys off.
Yeah. And
anything to limit communication would be ideal.
And man defense is exactly that. Like,
right. You get this guy, and that's your guy.
That's your guy. If you screw up and get burned, that's on you, my guy.
yeah. It's gonna be interesting to watch because Justin Herbert, if there's a guy open, he will kill you.
He will find it.
We've played 4 quarterbacks so far that may not have done that. May not have the ability to do that every time. Justin Herbert will do that. So that's definitely it's going to be a huge step up in talent-wise in terms of the quarterback facing him. In terms of the weaknesses, it's the same as last year. It's pretty much we could have just rolled back the preview from last week or last year.
You know what? It's funny. You could almost roll back everything. They played on October 10th last year. They play on October 9th this year.
Oh, that's funny.
The only thing that's different is the venue.
Yeah,
and the quarterback.
Yeah, true. Yeah, their defense is not very good. It does have Khalil Mack, so there is a
they still have some edge rush potential.
Yeah,
but
he's playing really well.
Yeah. But is it what did he have last week in terms of stats? I'm going to look this up real quick because you got to wonder if it's for them if him playing without Bosa hurts as much as the Browns playing Myles Garrett without Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah, I know he had a sack last week because he's on my fantasy team.
Yeah, he had 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss, 2 total tackles. So, like, he had a sack. Not necessarily a dominating presence, but it was the Texans. So, like,
So it kind of lessens the blow of Joey Bosa not being there, but still, it's obviously helpful that Joey Bosa is not there because those two together would have been.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 guys you have to look for when you're playing the Chargers on defense. You have to find where Derwin James is. Yep. You have to find where Khalil Mack is.
Yep.
Kyle Van Noy, Asante Samuel Jr. I think is pretty good, but like he's not Derwin James. Apparently, I mean Derwin James has erased every tight end he's played. So, yeah.
It's basically what you said. Yeah, it's Derwin and Khalil. Those are your playmakers, your best 2 players on your defense. They got to account for them. Every Browns offense has to account for them every time. So that's basically what the strengths and weaknesses are of the Chargers. We kind of briefly talked about this. So where do you think the advantages are for the Browns offense against this defense?
Nick Chubb.
Yeah. I think we could say this every week.
There's going to be defenses that are more built to stop him than the Chargers.
True.
The Chargers haven't stopped anyone.
Yeah.
On the ground. They've basically been a practice defense for these guys. Mm-hmm. I'm going to look up exactly what they're giving up per game, but I can't imagine it's good.
It's definitely going to be Nick Chubb. It's going to be the run game. Their defensive line really is more pass oriented.
Which makes sense in their division.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not built to play AFC North teams.
Yeah.
Well, it's not built to play the Browns. I could probably say it's built to play the Steelers.
Everyone's built for the Steelers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's definitely going to be the run game. The Browns going to keep doing what they're doing. They got to run the ball, give Chubb his touches, give Hunt his touches, and just keep wearing them down. And hopefully, they can kind of pull this one out with their behind their run game again.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an impossible win for them.
No,
it's not. It's not a game you're going into and saying, aside from getting very lucky, I don't know how they're going to win this game. Those games are coming. They play Buffalo in like a month. That game is coming.
Right. Yeah,
I just don't.
The Chargers have looked like a 2-2 team this year so far.
Yeah, I mean they just haven't looked the part of what people thought they might be coming into the season.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Definitely true.
I mean, I would still trust Jacoby Brissett. I'm trying to find stats here. I can't find their rushes. They're like easily find how many yards per game they're giving up on the ground. But Jacoby Brissett's still going to be able to do things. I mean, one-armed Baker threw for 305 against this Chargers team last year. I'm pretty sure they were without Derwin James, so that might mean something. But they should be able to move the ball.
Yeah,
especially if Stefanski can bounce back from where he was last week, where we both said after the game that he was decidedly not in his bag play calling after the first 3 weeks of being very good in the play calling department.
Right. Yeah, that was one of the criticisms, especially around the goal line. Kind of interesting calls that were a little.
Yeah, and I mean, he's allowed to have off games. It happens, but it's noticeable when when the first 3 weeks he's like on fire, and then he comes out and he's just good.
Yeah, and again, it's also the execution. Like if how many screenplays do they have? 4 or 5 that didn't work. If any of them were completed, I think his day would have looked a lot better. They would have got at least a touchdown in the red zone. So yeah, it goes both ways. Like the play calling and execution, they go both ways. I'm just looking at the. It looks like they give up a 109 yards rushing per game so far.
They're giving up. Oh wait, no, that was last year. What the hell?
Yeah, 109 yards, but they played. Just kind of give you the teams they played. Like they played the Raiders, Chiefs, Jaguars, and Texans, and those are not your run team, especially the Chiefs and the Raiders.
Teams against the Chargers this year have run 81 times for 439 yards.
Yeah,
that's 5.4 a touch.
Right.
That's just ever so slightly behind the Lions, who have given up 5.6 yards per touch, and I don't think they play defense. So
I don't think so either. I can't. I haven't seen it. I don't know.
They could be running 11 tackling dummies out there, and I don't think anyone would know the difference.
Basically, yeah, they could. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a key. They should have success here. Basically, like what last year, our run game dominated last year. I think Chubb had a big run last year.
He did.
Yeah, it was a high scoring game, and I expect the same thing this year.
Chubb was 21 for 161. Hunt was 12 for 61.
Yeah, so 200 and so yards.
They ran for 230 yards. I mean, they had 531 yards of offense that day and lost.
That was the good Baker for one game.
Yeah, I think that was probably his last real good game. They had they had more yards than the Chargers. Chargers didn't get to 500. They had 493.
Yeah. So I expect it's going to be a kind of a repeat of last game. I think we'll get to the predictions later in the show here, but I
already looked this up because I know it could be a factor around this time. The weather is not supposed to be bad this weekend.
Yeah, I think it's 60s.
It's supposed to be like typical on Cleveland in the fall.
Yeah.
Mid to upper 60s.
90 miles per hour wind or anything.
Kind of windy, but not so bad that it's going to interrupt anything.
Yeah.
Except for maybe the kickers.
Yeah.
Which the Chargers are bringing on a practice squad kicker.
I know, we can talk about that now. It's going to be I know our special teams have struggled this year. We have talked about it, but they could be an advantage here.
Well, to this point, Cade York hasn't missed a kick. He's missed 2 extra points.
True. Yeah.
I don't think he's been trotted out there for too many kicks.
No.
I think he's like 5 of 5, but
Yeah.
It's still tough in the wind in that stadium. Even 15 to 20 mile an hour winds can screw with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah, definitely. Okay, so let's move on to the Browns defense. How do you think? What's the advantages there?
Before you ask me, tell me who's playing.
That's one of our key. It's going to be one of my key. It's going to be
like
who the heck is going to be
if you're without Clowney and Myles Garrett, which I don't think you'll be without Myles Garrett. He looked pretty.
He was practicing already.
He looked pretty good in practice. But if you're without both of those guys or without one of those guys, I mean, you saw what it did to your defense last week. I don't know what Taven Bryan's doing. So,
yeah,
you're in a space where you can't really project how they're going to do on defense until you know what kind of defense is going to be out there. I mean, know what kind. I mean, we're going to get Greedy Williams back, which can be good or bad. He's had his moments on both ends of the spectrum.
I think that will lessen the pressure on MJ Emerson. I think they just kind of.
But he's been okay.
He's been okay. I feel like they've thrown him into the fire a little bit too much. And so
I almost think that he right now could function as a pretty good tight end safety. Like just play the strong safety, the box safety role.
Yeah,
because he's got the body size to be able to do that. They do have Ronnie Harrison healthy again, so Ronnie Harrison probably takes that role before he does. But
I don't know if he should because Ronnie has not played that well either.
Delpit had a good game last week, so I have hopes that he can continue that. But until we know who's playing on the defense, it's hard to say where they're going to be. I do think that unhappy dog. I do. I'm not going to think that this defense is going to go out there and hold them to less than 20 points.
No,
no,
not this week.
I mean, last week we were all over the betting the over, and the over didn't hit.
Yeah,
but
thoroughly, but yes,
I would say that even that, like the over, I think is 5 points more this week. And I would say it's still the over might be pretty safe unless the Browns just don't score.
Yeah. I'm basically just hoping they can limit the big plays.
Make that offense drive. Make that offensive line who is hurt drive.
Yeah. Because that's
give more chances for Myles Garrett to get home and create some problems.
Yeah. Because Justin Herbert can be prone to interceptions. He can be prone to turning it over. So,
and he's hurt.
Yeah, and he's
not
hurt.
That you want to hurt him anymore, but he might, where there's plays where he might have tried to escape and run, he might just kind of fall over and protect himself.
Yeah.
But I really can't see this game being low scoring, so I'm not going to put a whole lot of pressure on the defense to stop people, which,
just don't make it easy.
Given the talent they have, we should be putting pressure on them to not give up 30 points. But I think we're at a point where we don't trust the defense to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So
pretty wild when we came into the season thinking they're going to be the strength of the team, but that's neither here nor there. Okay, so we talked about all kind of advantages here. What are your keys to the victory here for the Browns? You kind of highlighted a lot of them.
I mean, I would think the easiest key is the way that you can help the defense is to keep the ball.
Yeah, control the clock.
You have the ability to cram it down their throat the entire game and stay on the field. I would say that I think the Browns are averaging probably 34 to 36 minutes of possession per game right now.
Yeah, they won last week in the loss.
Yeah, they had 35, I think.
Yeah.
So if you're able to continue that and keep Justin Herbert off the field and score points, I think last week they did everything right, but they didn't do the scoring part right. If they score those points, if they don't throw away 11 points, you're looking at a much different game because the Falcons are running out of time. The Falcons don't have time to go to we're just going to run the ball and see if this works offense.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to have to throw Mariota, and Mariota's going to make mistakes. So if you're going to control the clock, you also have to convert. Otherwise, you're killing you're killing your own time. So they just have to be better about scoring this week if you're going to try and have a ball control offense.
Yeah. Yeah, they basically have to do what they did last week, but also be better at scoring when they're having opportunities. They have to control the game on the ground, control the clock. Don't let Herbert have the ball all day because it's gonna be bad if that happens. They can't turn it over. Is another one. They've been pretty good this year so far on not turning it over. I think what 2 of the 3 turnovers have been just the late interceptions by Brissett. So they've been pretty good at that. So they got to continue that. Don't give them opportunities. And then the key is who the heck is going to play on the defensive line? Is it Miles? Is it Miles and Jadeveon? Is it neither? That's a giant key that we just won't know until 1:00 on Sunday. I would expect Miles to play, but you never know. They need him because last week it was, I think, just a small sign of how bad this team could be, this defense could be without them, and is playing a big step up, I would say, from the last offense. So they definitely need them back. And then the last thing is just executing. They can't be sloppy like last week where they had little mistakes here and there, because if they do that, they're gonna get run off the field.
Yeah, I mean, there were a few plays that I think Brissett would like to have back last week.
Right.
Obviously, there's a few plays that there's one play that Njoku would like to have back.
Mm-hmm.
And there's probably a couple plays that some of the linemen would like to have back, but the play calling itself was fine until you got down to the goal line. But yes, you have to score, but if you don't know what the other team's going to do, it's kind of, especially that first time they got down there on the first possession of the game. I think they got down in the goal to go position, and they were like, "Oh crap, we don't know what they're going to do."
Yeah, right.
We don't have film on this.
Which I think, it gives you a little bit of an out, but it's still like,
no, you still gotta be able to do it,
right? And you still got to stick to what you're good at. Run the damn ball down their throat, and they didn't do that. So that's definitely, we're gonna have to make sure the P's and Q's are are checked off there down in the red zone, because they can't come up with field goals.
This is not a game where you
a field goal game.
Yeah, this isn't a game where you can throw away points. I'd even say that maybe don't go for it as haphazardly, knowing that you need points.
Mm-hmm.
Like, any points are good points in this game.
Yeah.
So if you can take points, take points.
Right.
And like, unless it's 4th and 1, like, then just QB sneak until someone stops you.
Yeah. Right. Which Brissett is like an elite quarterback at doing.
Yeah.
QB sneak.
QB sneak god.
Right. There's one thing that he's elite at. It's QB sneaking.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine later in the season running him out there specifically for QB sneaks? Like, the defense would know exactly what is happening. Exactly what is happening.
Basically,
and it doesn't matter.
Right. Basically, they know what's happening now, and they still can't stop it.
Yeah.
He's just so good at it. And you got to give credit also to, like, Ethan Kosich in the middle. He's moving, like, it's never like Jacoby is kind of is kind of like stalled a little bit, and he has to push. Like he's
Yeah.
driving through and getting him pretty easily. So you have to give credit to the interior of the line.
Yeah.
On those plays too. But yeah, those are their keys. We are now back at our prop bets portions of the segment. Last week was rough for me. It was okay for you.
We both picked the cover. That didn't work. We both picked the over. That didn't work. You picked under for Brissett at 205. He hit. No, he was
234.
Yeah, he hit that. Chubb at over under 90. We both had the over. He did that.
Mm-hmm.
We both picked the over for Cooper at 63, and that didn't hit.
Nope.
We picked over under Atlanta points at 24.5. We both picked under, so we both hit that.
Yeah.
Over under 46.5 yards for Cade York.
I picked off by a yard.
You were off by a yard. He kicked a 45-yard field goal. So, and then we both got the final two things wrong.
Yeah.
So I got 1, 2, 3, 4 right.
Yeah.
You got one. Right. You got 2. So that brings the season total now to I have 9 and you have 7.
No, I have 8 and you have 10. We had 8 picks in each week.
I don't think either of us got the score right in the first game.
I
also didn't write it down, so I can't even go back and check.
I just based it on winning who won.
That's fine.
Predicting the score is like
impossible.
Impossible. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So we're back at
8 and 8, 10-6. So we're on to week 5 here. So our first one, we always do the spread here. So Browns plus 2.5 right now, according to FanDuel. What you got?
Well, a lot like last week, it's basically, do you think the Browns are going to win or not?
Yeah.
I suppose they could lose by 2 points and beat the spread, but like, yeah, but those would be painful. So, I mean, I don't think I'm at a point yet where I've lost all confidence and I can't think that they're going to win a game. I really don't think that we're in that point until the Buffalo game. Depending on what we see out of, I guess it depends on what we see out of Cincinnati and Baltimore the next couple of weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I'm going to pick them to cover. So.
Okay. So he's. Okay. I think.
Actually, would that be called covering or would that be just taking the points?
You take the points.
I'm going to put points.
Okay. You're taking the points. So you're taking Browns plus 2.5.
Yep.
I would agree with that. We'll get to who our final scores in a second, but yeah, I think Browns plus 2.5. I really like the matchup last week, but they failed to put it all together, and I don't mind this matchup this week. It's obviously a little bit more awkward, especially with the passing game versus our defense, but I'll take the points with the Browns. So moving on to over under 47.5 points is what the spread for the points are. What do you got?
Well, the Chargers almost broke that themselves last year. I'm gonna look at what the spread was last year, just to Chargers minus 2.5, and which is basically what it is again, and over under 47. So we're literally back to where we were last year. Everything is the same. Just run it back.
Seriously, it's pretty
Don't bring back Baker.
That's true.
But I would find it hard to believe that the under is going to hit on this one, but that's exactly when the under hits.
It's like a 12-14 game or something like that.
If that happens, then
both Justin Herbert got hurt, or I don't know.
If that happens, Justin Herbert might have not even made the trip.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, I think we're both over.
Got COVID on Saturday. Yeah,
this is This might be our easiest pick of the one. I think it's going to be quite over.
Yeah. Is there anything that we're or I imagine we're both going over on the next two as well.
Yeah. So the next one is over under 2.5 passing touchdowns for Herbert. I just think if you see the Chargers stats, they don't score a lot of rushing touchdowns. I think Eckler actually just scored his first 2 touchdowns last week. So it's definitely a receiving kind of passing game oriented offense. So I definitely think over on 2.5 for Herbert, especially against this defense, sadly.
To be the contrarian, I'm going to say under.
Okay.
I'm fully banking on Eckler poaching 2 touchdowns near the goal line like he did last week.
Okay.
One of them I don't think it was actually even near the goal line. I think it was from like 30 yards out, but he still scored 2 touchdowns on the ground and kept Herbert to 2. So
okay.
I'm gonna say under just to differentiate ourselves here.
Gotcha. Okay, I can see that. 3 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns through the air.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting to see. Next one, I think this might be the easiest one here.
Yeah.
Besides the points, 92.5 rushing yards for Chubb. Rushing yards. So I say over on that
unless he gets hurt in the first half, find some wood.
Yeah.
He's gonna probably go the over on that one.
Yeah, definitely.
You might only need like 4 carries to go over on that.
Basically, yeah. Yeah, he's rolling right now, and they're playing a defense that can't stop the run. So that seems like a great combination.
Yeah, I mean, Nick Chubb for his career is averaging over 5 yards a carry, and right now the Chargers defense is giving up over 5 yards a carry.
Yeah.
They gave up 131 yards to who the hell even is this? Damon Pierce?
Oh, the rookie from Houston, yeah.
14 carries for 131 yards. He didn't even need that much work.
Yeah, so that was an easy one.
Oh, hold on. What is that average? Just 9.3. Dude was averaging a first down.
I think he had a 75-yard touchdown, I think, if I remember correctly from the stats. Yeah, so I think that's an easy over for us. Next one's going to be tricky. It's Amari Cooper, 5.5 receptions over under. He's kind of been up and down. Like the first game and then the last game here, he was pretty quiet, and then the middle 2 games he was heavily involved.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty clear.
7 and 9.
It's pretty clear that the Browns' offense kind of goes how he goes, and it's also pretty clear that the Falcons were committed to making sure he didn't go anywhere.
Yeah,
they had a cornerback follow him.
Yeah, AJ Terrell played really well against him.
Yeah, so
AJ Terrell does not play for the Chargers, though.
No, but Asante Samuel Jr. does. I don't know how he's been playing. I don't know if he's been playing well or not. I don't have PFF in front of me. But I would say that the Browns are probably going to attempt to get him the ball a fair amount.
Okay.
So I'm going to go with the over. I'm going to see how many receivers had good days against the Chargers last year, just to kind of.
Okay. So 5.5. He goes. Oh, Taylor's going to go over.
Yeah.
I think under, but I don't think that means he's got a bad day. I think he gets like 5, something like that.
Yeah. Last year, the highest, the receiver with the most catches was Peoples-Jones with 5.
Yeah.
And Njoku had 7.
Yeah. So
Higgins had 3. Hunt had 5. Beckham had 2.
I remember that guy.
That's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, so 5.5. Yeah, that's you got to get 6 there, but I think he'll be barely under. I think it kind of leads to what my thinking is with how they're gonna run the ball and kind of lean on the run game. So I don't think it'll be a lot of receptions for him, but I think he'll still have a big game, like but maybe 5 yards, 80 yards, or 5 catches, 80 yards, or something like that. Hopefully, so I being under on this doesn't mean he's going to have a bad game. Quite the contrary. Next one is for our defense. So 91.5 total combined yards for Austin Eckler. So that's
Over.
Okay, over. Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, so he averages. He's been really struggling rushing wise. Yeah, I think he averaging like 30 or 40 yards a game.
I mean, he had 60 yards last week, I think.
Right. I think that was his best rushing game. But his receiving is, I think he averages 50 or something like that. So it's pretty crazy, the combination there. But yeah, based on just how our defense plays, it can struggle with passes underneath. We've seen that in the past 3 years.
I mean, we should have a healthier JOK this week, so maybe that's limited.
Mm-hmm.
But the Chargers offense is still the Chargers offense.
Yeah.
JOK is going to be otherwise occupied some plays.
Right. There's so many other things to watch for.
Yeah. I mean, I would say that they don't necessarily have a tight end that scares you. One of their tight ends' name is Mick Kitty. So he's definitely going to score a touchdown this week just because I said that. But
oh yeah, he's gonna haunt us. He's gonna haunt us now. Oh boy.
He has 4 receptions for 28 yards, and he's going to come out and go like 7 for 83 in a score this week. But
we do have Gerald Everett, who's pretty
good. Who's 16 for 211 and 2. He's 26 targets. He's the third leading target getter on their team behind Williams and Eckler. So I don't know how much that offense values the tight end anyway.
Right.
I would say he's the second leading receiver, so it values the tight end. But I just don't know if they're going to commit JOK to defending him in the passing game when Eckler is there.
Yeah.
Like it's very much. I would assume they're going to take a very similar route to how they played Christian McCaffrey, and they played him pretty well. So I'm still going over, but I'm giving reasons as to maybe why they could not let him go completely nuclear.
Yeah. So we're both over on that one, and then the last one's going to be pretty hard because we don't know who the heck's going to play, but I'm going to still put it out there. 1.5 total sacks over under for the Browns. I'm going to go over based on just the injuries to the offensive line for the Chargers, and then my hope that Miles at least plays. So he's good for at least 1 sack, and hopefully someone else can fall on somebody for another one. So, I'd go over on this one. What do you think?
I'm gonna go under right now.
Okay.
And I'm looking up the reasoning, seeing if it makes sense here.
So I think they had 1 sack last week.
So far the Chargers have given up just 4 sacks, which is kind of counterintuitive to the amount of hits that Herbert has taken. But I think he's just taking hits after he throws the ball because he's been good at getting rid of it. Yeah. So I'm going to go under because they're only giving up a sack a game right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Granted, the game that they've played without their starting left tackle was against the Texans, who are the Texans. And last I checked, do not possess Myles Garrett. So
that checks out. I just checked it, and that checks out.
But so we could, if Myles is healthy and ready to go, you could see him go out and get 2 sacks by himself and break that. But I would not anticipate a Bears game from last year where the Browns defense lives in the backfield.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
If that happens, Herbert may be carted off. Not from anything illegal, just his body might just give up.
Right. He's already in pain. Yeah, definitely.
So
okay.
So I'm gonna go under on that one.
Okay. So those are our prop bets. We got one more. This is just our scoring game prediction. What you're thinking here?
Man, every week we've done this, we've picked the Browns. I don't know if I'm broken enough yet to pick the other team. Are you broken enough yet to pick the other team?
Not yet. No, as I said in the when we were picking the spread, I like this matchup. I may be freaking crazy after this game, but we'll see.
The matchup is there. They have the potential to take advantage of a
Yeah.
team that cannot stop the run and be able to keep an offense off the field that you don't want on the field.
Right.
So all of the things are there. It's whether or not they're able to execute well enough to do it.
Right.
They've done it twice. They've done it 3 times. They blew a game. They should be 3-1. They are 2-2. They've done it 3 times. They didn't do it the other, and they lost the game that they didn't do it. So, the odds are there saying that they're going to be able to execute. They've done it 75% of the time so far. I'm not at a point yet where I can confidently say that they're not going to win this game.
Right.
I mean, that could very well change if Myles Garrett's not playing.
Right. Yeah. We'll put little disclaimers here. If Myles and Jadeveon aren't playing, then the Chargers are winning.
Yeah, then I don't know how
you can say the Chargers are winning.
Yeah. But I would say Myles is going to play. I would say we're going to have a healthier JOK.
Yeah.
If Clowney plays, the defense is in a better spot. He's coming off an ankle injury, so we don't know. But you get another week of Jacob Phillips getting good run. Maybe he goes out and plays well. Get Greedy Williams back, so you have more depth at cornerback, and you're not having to run MJ Emerson all over the field.
Yeah.
So like the ingredients are there for them to still win, and they're at home. So like it's all there. It's just whether or not they can put it together, and they've only put it together twice this year.
Right.
So,
what's your prediction?
I mean, I'll go with the Browns. I'm gonna say if they're gonna win, they're gonna do it 30-24.
Okay. 30-24. I'll write that down. I also think the Browns. I know we might be crazy at the end of this, but I think similar score. I think it's going to be really close. I think it could be like 28-27. Like I actually think it's going to be really close. Yeah, it would. The over is going to get hit easily. I think.
Yeah, I mean we're both in the mid-50s.
Yeah, so I say 28-27. Browns win. They score touchdowns, and the Chargers score two field goals, and that's the difference in the game, basically.
Actually, it would be exceedingly Chargers for them to drive down and score in the final minute,
miss the field goal,
and miss the extra point.
That would be, and it's a new kicker.
It's a new kicker, and the Chargers are historically cursed in the special teams department. So.
That is true. Yeah. Yeah. So there's our predictions. Any final thoughts on what you got?
Don't make this harder than it needs to be. Just run the ball.
Yes.
I'm not going to be like one of those guys that's going out there and saying, "Oh my God, they should give Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt the ball every play."
Yeah.
No, they run the ball enough. You just have to do it well.
Yeah.
And they've done it well every week. I think the only
at the right times of the field too.
The only time they haven't done it well this entire season is 7 plays at the goal line.
Yeah.
It's the only time they haven't run it well all season.
Right, which just seems insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we're in agreement, man. It's just run the ball, control that clock. Don't beat themselves. Don't beat yourself.
Yeah, we said that last week, and I don't think they necessarily beat themselves in the way that we expected.
Right. They just, it wasn't like the dumb mistakes. It was just
it was a culmination of a bunch of little paper cuts.
Yeah. Yeah. Death by a thousand cuts or whatever it's called. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's the Browns game. Browns preview for the Chargers, Week 5. Both 2-2, heading into this matchup as they go to First Energy Stadium. Should be a fun one.
You going to the game?
I am. I will be there. Hopefully the Guardians will not have to play on Sunday, so I don't have to rush back or anything like that. Hopefully they take care of business in game 1 and 2. But it's going to be a fun weekend, and everybody, all the Cleveland fans, enjoy it. It's going to be a fun time in Cleveland.
And if everyone loses by Sunday night, we may not call this a Cornercast or BrownsCast. This may turn into grievance room.
Yes. Who knows? But enjoy it. It's we haven't had this in a while, man. We have 3 teams that are really exciting, and
not to go off on a tangent, but I was actually talking to my dad about this about a week and a half ago. In my life, I don't think all 3 teams have been good at once.
I would say at this
2016,
level,
the Browns were garbage.
Yes.
2007, I think, would be the last time you could consider that, but the Browns didn't make the playoffs, and that wasn't really
Browns were Fugazi that year.
They were.
So
they were a team.
Right.
And then after that, they were garbage again, and then most of my life they've been bad. So they can't have 3 teams be good if one of them is always bad. So, I mean, it's a good time, and the Cavs are going to get going soon, and that'll be fun. We'll have expectations for the first time in a few years.
Yeah, and
the first time we've had expectations without LeBron since 92?
Right. Here? I don't know.
First time in my life that they've had expectations without LeBron James being on the team.
It's exciting, man. I can't wait. So, can't wait for the tomorrow, and
all the Browns have to do is not screw it up.
Yeah, should work out well. It always does, right?
Don't screw it up, Browns.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Thanks for joining us, everybody. This was the WFNY BrownsCast, part of the Evergreen Podcast Network, and catch us after the game on Sunday. Should be around 5-ish or 5:30-ish, depending on how quick I can get home.
Yep.
But yeah, thanks for joining us, and go Browns.